Alaska Airlines is making huge changes to their program for 2025. Today we'll do a deep dive on earning status, the new milestone perks, and how you might want to think about this whether you're a business owner or business traveler. Big favor before we dive in is to give us a thumbs up to help with the algorithm. If you are new to the Ask Savvy Business channel, then consider subscribing. First up, let's start a status. Alaska has 4 levels, and they measure things using EQMs, elite qualifying miles. You get MVP at 20,000 EQMs, gold at 40,000, gold 75K at 75,000, and gold 100K at 100,000. The really cool thing is that it's based off miles, so distance flown, rather than revenue. This is a stark contrast to other programs like Delta, which are pretty much the exact opposite, and they track things using MQDs, medallion qualifying dollars, so they're very dollar focused. In the case of Delta, you might be flying a ton and long distances, but if you're not doing the expensive ones, then it's not going to help. Put another way, if you're not spending enough, if you're not making that money, then you're going to have a hard time getting towards status. Okay, back to Alaska. How do you earn these EQMs? The primary driver is miles flown, and at a minimum, you're getting 100% of that distance. For example, if you do round trip from JFK to SFO, then that's 5,500 miles towards status. If you're flying economy for that route, whether you end up doing the cheaper dates at 250 or the more expensive dates at 1,000, you're still getting the same number of EQMs towards status. This ends up being great for deal seekers. On top of this, you also earn EQMs for award flights, whether on Alaska Metal or on partner airlines. Let's say you take your Alaska miles and you redeem it for a flight on Japan Airlines, which is a partner, you're getting miles towards status. Alaska has a ton of partners via oneworld. This includes American Airlines, British Airways, Cathay Pacific, Japan Airlines, Qantas, Qatar, and a ton of other ones. Outside of oneworld, they also have other direct partnerships. For example, Korean Airlines, Singapore, and Starlux. We actually ended up using Alaska miles for one of their partners, Air Tahiti Nui, for business class from LAX to Tahiti. Not the best hard product, but super friendly team and crew, and they did the best with what they had. It was also on our list and a pretty good redemption based off the retail price and our would pay price. So we just did that flight, but if it was in 2025, then it would help towards status, but only if we booked through Alaska. If you book through partner sites, the EQM is a lot lower, but if you book through Alaska, then it works for both cash bookings and also mileage redemptions. As mentioned, the main focus is distance, and if you fly economy, then you're getting 100% of the distance as EQMs. If you do end up flying premium economy though, then you're at 150%, business class is 250%, and first class is 350%. For example, LAX to Tahiti one way is 4,000 miles, and if you were flying business, 250%, that's about 10,000 EQMs. If we ended up doing that round trip, that's 20,000 EQMs for status. That one trip and one redemption by itself will get us the first rung of MVP, so pretty solid. For other airlines, it's not normal and common at all, because why would they reward you for flying someone else? Another one we've done in the past is SFO to Tokyo in Japan Airlines first class. The old product is a bit dated, but I think it has better food compared to ANA and also great service. I'm probably making enemies, but I think Japan Airlines is a bit better. On our list for 2025 or 2026 is the new Japan Airlines first class on the A350. Right now, it's only out of New York and Dallas. Going from New York, it's 6,700 miles one way, and with the 350% boost, that's 23,450 EQMs one way towards status. That means that if you did that round trip, then you're hitting MVP gold. Okay, great if you have a ton of miles, but how do you get those miles? Alaska will oftentimes have sales for these miles, and it's a pretty good redemption if you like these type of flights and you value the experience. More on that in the middle though. There's also other ways to earn EQMs of partners like Lyft. In those cases, for every 3,000 Alaska miles earned, you're earning 1,000 EQMs. The last option is credit card spend. You get 1 EQM for every $3 you spend on the card with a max of 30,000 EQMs, so 90,000 in spend. In that sense, and unlike other programs, you do still need to fly to hit those higher levels compared to just credit card spend. If you're a business owner that spends a ton and you want to earn the status before redeeming it, then it's probably going to be American or Delta, which have better programs for earning it from spend. Still though, if you are earning and burning, then I think Alaska is well worth considering. On a side note, if you want to learn about any cards, whether Alaska, American, Delta, or something else entirely, and you want to support the channel, we do have links on the website, asksavvy.com, and also down below in the description box. Make sure the links are competitive, but otherwise, it is a huge way to support the channel, so thank you in advance. As mentioned, one thing we do is buy miles. If you are doing this, I would definitely wait for a promotion where you get bonus miles. Standard pricing is 100,000 miles for $2,750, so 2.75 cents per mile before taxes. Once you factor in the 7.5% recovery tax, then you're looking at about $3,000 or 2.96 cents per mile. Oftentimes and throughout the year, they do have promotions, and I'd wait for 60%. In that case, 100K plus 60K bonus is 160K total for the same 2,750, or about 3,000 after taxes. Doing the math there, 160K divided by 3,000 is 1.85 cents per mile. It probably doesn't make sense for economy, but makes a ton of sense for business and first if you care about that experience. So even though we both sign up for cards, we sometimes do run into walls, and if we need additional miles, then buying them can make sense. I'll put a link down below in case you're interested, but again, wait for 60%. Okay, so we talked a lot about earning status, but what are the actual benefits? Some are going to be for all members, and other ones are more specific. On the surface level, everyone's getting priority check-in and boarding, free checked bags, but depending on status, you have different levels of this, complimentary preferred seats, and things like upgrades. You also earn more miles, so more points that you can redeem for flights. For 2025, you're looking at 25, 50, 100, and 150%. On the top level of 100K, you also get a choice benefit. In the past, we've seen things like additional miles and an Alaska Lounge membership. You also do get upgrades, but it does depend on the level you have in the fare class if you want it at time of booking. Otherwise, Day Of has its own rules and list as well. For 100K, you also get a complimentary snack or meal even if you're in main cabin. Not the biggest deal, probably about $10 in value, but still a nice surprise. Also, the chocolate they have is surprisingly tasty, so much so that I kept the wrapper. Free checked bags are always nice, especially if you travel heavy, and depending on the level you have, you're getting 1, 2, or 3 checked bags. For 75K and 100K, you also get 4 lounge day passes, which are pretty nice, given that some of these lounges are pretty solid. If you're a last minute traveler and you change your plans often, then same day flight changes can be a lifesaver and save you a ton of money. And this is for MVP Gold and up. The last one, and the one that's more interesting for international travelers, is One World status. MVP gets Ruby, Gold gets Sapphire, and 75K and 100K get Emerald. Ruby unlocks a lot of the standard baseline benefits, like priority check-in and preferred seats. One World Sapphire is where it gets interesting with priority boarding, access to business class lounges, and extra luggage. Emerald's even better, where you get into One World first class lounges, and also a fast track through security. So for example, if you're flying Cathay Pacific or Japan Airlines in economy, if you have One World Emerald or Sapphire, then you're getting those additional benefits as if you have elite status with those airlines. Case in point, last year when we went to Niseko, we ended up flying from Tokyo to Sapporo in economy. Even though it was economy, we had a ton of bags, but we didn't have to pay extra because of the One World status. We also had the fast pass lane, which was nice, and access to their lounges, even though we were flying economy. If you fly inter-Asia like we do, or if in Europe, it can save you a ton of money on checked bags. Given this, I think there's 2 sweet spots. The first one is MVP Gold, which unlocks One World Sapphire, and it gets you into business class lounges within One World. Next one is Gold 75K, which unlocks Emerald and business and first class lounges. In addition, they also have partnerships outside of One World. For Iceland Air and Hainan Airlines, you have access to the lounges with MVP Gold for you and 1 guest. For American, you get upgrades, additional checked bags, and same-day upgrades, depending on the level you have. If you are debating between Alaska and American, I think it depends on how much you spend on your card, how much you're traveling, and the perks you're looking for. But Alaska can make sense. On top of this, Alaska also added milestone perks. You get additional choice benefits for hitting different levels. There's 7 levels here, and it's 10K, 30K, 55K, 85K, 150, 200, and 250K. Another way to think of it is mid-steps and points between the levels or after the levels. I temper your expectations. For hitting 10K, you can pick bonus miles, pre-ordering a complimentary meal, complimentary Wi-Fi, MVP status for a trip, double miles for non-airline partners, and an upgrade on your next Avis rental. In this case, I'd probably pick the points. For 30K, it's points, Alaska credit, 4 Wi-Fi passes, MVP Gold for a trip, or 100 off an Alaska Lounge membership. I'd probably go for the miles unless you are getting a lounge membership anyways and you want that discount. Alaska lounges can be hit or miss. The old ones are pretty mid, but the new one, like the one in SFO, is pretty nice and might be worth it. So much so that people are happy to pay $60 a pop to get into the lounge. Moving up a level, we have 55K. This is where it starts to get interesting with upgrade certificates, but it depends on your route and what you fly. Less useful for short haul, but it might be good to lock in for longer ones. 85K is also pretty interesting. Upgrade certificates would probably be what I'd go for, but yeah, you have a lot of options here. 150, 200, and 250K are pretty much exactly the same, And yeah, tons of good choices here. I'd probably still go for the miles though. It's not the craziest benefits, it's a nice little sprinkle on top, but it doesn't compare to things like Hyatt. For example, for the Hyatt one, you get perks like free nights. Overall, I think Alaska is definitely an interesting program. While the big three of American, Delta, and United are more catered to corporate travelers who spend a ton because it's not their own money, it's work's money, Alaska is playing a bit of a different game and giving more options for normal people and business owners. For example, if I'm flying to New York, I'm going to try to find cheaper dates. Someone that's a consultant though and earning miles to their own account from work spend might be incentivized to find more expensive days or expensive times. Or at a minimum, they're impartial to it, but they benefit from having more expensive flights. We also end up buying points when it makes sense for redemptions because that also makes sense for us. I feel like there are a lot of people in the space that are happy to pay $1,000 or $1,500 for a good business or first class, and this is the way to do it without paying crazy amounts. Whether you're a premium traveler or one that owns a business and you need to fly to Asia anyways, it makes more sense to pay 10 or 20 cents on the dollar compared to the full retail price of business class. The fact that Alaska is letting you earn elite status with them with these redemptions, sometimes even not with them, with their partners, is a pretty big win. Also on the business end, it makes a ton of sense. Everyone's zigging, they're zagging. Again, if you want to learn about cards, we have links on the website, asksebby.com, and also down below in the description box. If you made it to this point in the video, then leave a bear emoji in the comments down below. Pretty much what I think of when I think of Alaska, and I'll try to heart it and also respond. 3 questions: what are your thoughts on the changes? What's your favorite program? And what would make you switch? Big favorite, thumbs up, share this with someone, but otherwise hope you liked it. See you next time.